Goalkeepers, never strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80,000 voices.
Hello there, you're welcome to the channel. So in this video, we'll be looking at the African Cup of Nations, especially looking at Group C, where Nigeria finds itself alongside Tunisia, Tanzania, and Uganda. Now, what we'll be doing in this video, this is the first of a series of videos where we will be talking about, we'll be focusing on teams that the Nigerian Super Eagles would face in the AFCON come 2025, come December, in fact 2025. So in today's video, we'll be looking at Tunisia. Tunisia, they are a team that have huge history with Nigeria. Way back in 1978, Nigeria and Tunisia played in the third place playoff match, and the game ended 1-1. But Tunisia abandoned the game, and Nigeria were awarded a 2-0 victory. So Nigeria won the third place match in that 1978 tournament. Then the AFCON in 2000, Nigeria defeated Tunisia in the group stage match, winning 4-2. And as well, in 2004, Nigeria, and if you remember that tournament, Nigeria and Tunisia played semifinals, I think. And Tunisia won. The game ended 1-1, and then it ended on penalty. Tunisia won on penalties 5-3. I think that was the game where we had the ghost goal. There was a ghost penalty that Victor Osimhen, we all felt he scored it, but apparently the referee decided to, no, that was the Senegal one, so that's a different game altogether. But Tunisia won on penalties 5-3. And then 2019, third place playoff, Nigeria won against Tunisia 1-0. And then the last one was 2022. In the round of 16, Nigeria played Tunisia and lost 1-0. So while Nigeria has had the rub of the green over Tunisia, they still remain a very, very capable side and a dangerous side as well. So in this game, we'll be talking about the team, what to expect. There are key players that Nigeria and Eric Chell and the Super Eagles have to look out for. And we also look at how Nigeria can play them. We'll also talk about their tactical, philosophy, how they like to play. Now, before I go into talking about all that stuff, I would like to say this as well. Remember, Tunisia 94, that's when Nigeria won one of the African Cup of Nations titles. So 3 titles. One was won 1994 AFCON with the likes of Olise, Stephen Keshi, and the likes. So top marks to them for that one. Then we go on to Tunisia. Now, Tunisia, they are an interesting side, but one thing that makes them really dangerous is their philosophy, which is they're super organized, very tactical, very difficult to break down. And the way they set themselves up, it's very difficult to play against them. So if they get the first goal, it then becomes really difficult for any team to get back in the game. But for me, one way around that is to use the wings. And that's one issue, and that's one thing every Chelsea has to pick up going into this AFCON tournament. So, who are the main players for the Tunisian side? There is Hannibal Mejbri. Hannibal Mejbri, he is an attacking midfielder. He plays for Burnley in the English Premier League. So, he is a player that will have to be on the lookout for. Okay, AD, how you go? We are Newcastle United, St. Mrs. Park. Okay, thanks AD for the message. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And then as well, so they're a very difficult side to break down. So Nigeria have to be on their game. One main player, Hannibal Mejbri, I think he'll be the creative force in that Tunisian team. He plays for Burnley in the English Premier League, so he has some top flight experience as well. So he is a serious player to look at. And then we look at the next player. We've got Isa Laiduni. Hopefully I'm not butchered that name. He is a central midfielder, plays for Al Waka. I think that's a Tunisian team. So the team is really, when I was looking at their main players, their key players, a lot of centre backs, a lot of central midfielders. So you're seeing a team here that means a team that would be difficult to break down, that very organized, very well composed. So you want to make sure you take that game seriously. I know there are other teams in the group But like Tanzania and Uganda, definitely will be looking at them because we made that one mistake I'm sure a lot of Nigerians made going into the World Cup qualifying games where people are like, oh, South Africa, they're the main team. If you can beat South Africa, then that's it. And then ended up dropping points to Lesotho, ended up dropping points to Zimbabwe, and just been able to do the double over Rwanda. So other teams definitely will be looking at them in other live streams. But for this one, we will be looking at Tunisia. Then we also have Musta Talbi. We've got LC Shekiri, plays for Lorient in France. So the team that stacked with European-based players, and you also have experienced players based in the Tunisian local league. So this is a key team Nigeria comes up against. I'm sure everyone would expect, the bookmakers would expect, I'm sure Nigerian fans out there and Tunisian fans as well will be thinking this is a game that determines who would win that group to qualify for the knockout phases. Yeah, I agree. But other teams you have to look at as well. So how do we go about playing against a stubborn side like Tunisia? We saw it, when Augustine Gavon was the coach of Nigeria, not the second stint, the first one in the AFCON, right? Breezed through a lot of teams in the group stage and then got to meet Tunisia in that knockout round and then lost, considered one goal, and they made life difficult because they've got the tactical discipline for one, and they also have this thing where they just know how to kill the clock. They know all the dark arts. Mikel Arteta, people say he's the master of the dark arts in football right now, but I tell you, the Tunisian players, the Tunisian team, Tunisian coaches, they are indeed the masters of the dark arts. So this is a team that you really need to take seriously. And how does Nigeria challenge this Tunisian side? How does Nigeria set itself up against the Tunisian side? For me, I think wing play is super important because the central part of the midfield, the central part of the field will be stacked up, will be blocked. That is how they like to play. Super organized. They wouldn't be looking to, that Tunisia wouldn't be looking to come out all out, and attack. What they'll look to do is cede some possession, attract the attention, the attacks from Nigeria, soak up pressure, hit on the break, and look to get a lone goal and then tightens up. And if they're able to get the second one, that's fine. But they certainly wouldn't be looking out to go toe-to-toe with Nigeria. Now, man for man, player for player, I think the Nigerian Super Eagles are better than the Tunisian side, but it's a question of coaching. It's a question of their philosophy. It's a question of how they set themselves up. Because we've seen with Nigeria, the Super Eagles have conceded a lot of goals. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll drop the link to the call or the video rather in the chats. If you want to be a part of it, you can click the link and join. So I'll copy this right now and I'll drop it in the chat. Yeah. So if you just join in, you're welcome. In this video, we're talking about Tunisia. It's the first in the series of videos I'll be doing. We'll be talking about, the teams Nigeria will be facing in the group stage, in Group C. We've got Tunisia, so I'll just share this in a minute so we'll see the other teams that are in the group. So you've got Tunisia, you've got Uganda, you've got Tanzania. And looking at it on the face of it, you're saying Tunisia, they are the rivals with Nigeria for topping the group. And you would be right, but you can't take Uganda and Tanzania for granted. So essentially we're talking about the key players in this Tunisian side. So we've talked about Hannibal Mejbri, plays for Burnley. We've talked about Monster Talbi, we've talked about LC Shekri. So they have a lot of interesting players, but for me, I still feel like Nigeria does have the upper hand in this tie in terms of talent when it comes to pure talent. But when it comes to the tactical acumen, when it comes to setting up how the teams are set up, I just feel like probably Tunisia may have the upper hand. Now, Eric Chell can come up with some surprises, but let's see if what he's able to do. Because one thing that he's shown right now is that uh, he he's a bit stiff, tactically. He's a bit stiff. No, no. Why he is flexible tactically, but he does some things that make him seem naive, in my opinion. And going up against experienced campaigners like the Tunisian side, for me, I would be hoping that he goes back to using wingers, not just because it is how Nigeria has played over the years, but you have to counteract what the Tunisian side will be looking to do. Because we've seen in other tournaments, even in the tournament where they played against Nigeria and knocked Nigeria out in that semi-final, uh, their whole game plan was being very defensive, very conservative, and hoping and praying they can hit you on the break, get a goal, and then shut up shop. So in this sort of game, you don't want to force things through the middle. We've seen it even in the Premier League. We've seen it in other competitions as well, where teams try to force passes through the middle, try to break things down through the middle, and it becomes really difficult. And with this Tunisian side, I think it will be doubly difficult as well, especially for Nigeria, because you don't have that 10. If you look at the Iwobi, he scored a very good goal for Fulham. He had an assist as well. And I've in some of my formation and selections, I have put Iwobi there as the number 10 guy. But is he super, super creative? I think the main superpower of the Nigerian Super Eagles lies in the wings, or lies on the wings in Ademola Lookman, the Chukwueze. Maybe, who knows, by then Filippo Tele could have been part of the setup. It lies in wing play, right? And that would make the job easier for Iwobi. So you need to go on the outside. So the question is, would Eric Chell be flexible enough? That is the question. Would he be flexible enough where he would go, all right, now what I'm going to do is I will go out there and I will play with wing play and look to stretch this Tunisian side. Because if you want to force it through the middle, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. We've seen it time and time and time and time again. So that's one thing there to point out. Yeah. So one, you have to stick to basics, use the wings, and strengthen the bench. Right now, when you look at the Nigerian bench right now, you see Ademola Lookman, and who else is the next guy? You look at Chukwueze, and then who is the next person? I know Chukwueze has inconsistencies, but who is the next guy that you see on that team that, yes, is that person to come off the bench and provide support? So that's one area we need to look at as well. And then, given that the Tunisian side would like to play on the counter-attack, now, Eric Chell, if you want to play with a high line, that means going into this African Cup of Nations, the likes of Benjamin Frederick, the likes of Calvin Bassey, central defenders with pace should be brought into the side, not just for the World Cup qualifiers, which is super important as well. We're looking at those games as they draw even closer, later on, or later next month, it's October as well. And then we'll also, looking at those games, I'll be doing we'll be looking at those games when they are more when they are more close and around the corner. We'll definitely look at those games. And then as well, for today, we're talking about the Tunisian game. Let me know what you think in the chats. What do you think about this Tunisian team? What do you think about this Group C that Nigeria are in? Do you think this is a group Nigeria can top? What approach do you think Nigeria Super Eagles should take going into that game? For me, I think it must be positive. It must be progressive. It must be sensible. You must be sensible when you come up against a team like Tunisia. We've seen most of the important players, center backs, central midfielders, central defensive midfielders, that are going to be compact and going to be difficult to break down. That's how they're going to play. And I'm sure they would look at Uganda and they would look at Tanzania and feel like those are teams that they can win. But coming up against Nigeria, there's a team that if they can get a point, then they're sure of qualification. But for me, I think that's a game Nigeria should go out there and do their utmost to win. So at this point, I'll go for a quick break and I'll be back, and hopefully don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Do not go anywhere.
My people when they listen to me, my whole life family make una hear. I dey drop new video every week from morning to evening, I know the fear. I spend my time and my data to make sure say una dey entertained. But I check my analytics, see they make me vex. Viewers they plenty, but subscribers they faint. Subscribe no be only giveaway, oh. Make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Subscribe no be only giveaway, oh. Make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Some of una they watch from morning till night. You they comment, you they like, but you no click. You they wait for when I go do promo, when I go announce the next phone or a ticket. Not true, I like to give back to una. Now why I they do give away from time to time. But if una no subscribe, I go get more. Now your subscription be the reason why I decline. Subscribe no be only giveaway, oh. Make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Subscribe no be only giveaway, oh. Make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Imagine say you dey build your house and your neighbors they come use your water free. Then they take water, then they wash car, but when you ask them to help you with the house, then they flee. That's how it be, my people, no be lie. If una no subscribe, my channel go die. I need your support to reach for the sky. So please, my people, just give it a try. Subscribe, no be only giveaway, oh. Make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Subscribe, no be only giveaway, oh. Make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Yeah, hit that button now. Make it turn from red to gray. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you every single day. Peace. 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 Oh yeah. Hit that button to gray. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you every single day. Peace.
Welcome back. So in this video, we have been talking about the African Cup of Nations coming up, especially Tunisia, looking at Group C, where Nigerian Super Eagles find ourselves, and that is one game. I think that would be a very important game if Nigeria will be looking to top that group and indeed qualify without bringing out the calculators. And we know Tunisia, like I said earlier on top of the video, they are very defensive. They'll be very defensive, very conservative. And in terms of formation, how they like to set themselves up, it's usually 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, where I think they want to play with two holding midfielders in front of the back four. I don't think those holding midfielders will really be looking to push forward. But then you have Hannibal, that will be expected to be creative on the ball, going forward and creating opportunities for their front line. So I think Nigeria should match them up. I know it's still a ways away because the tournament starts in December, and now I just think it's 90 days or so, 89 days away from the tournament. But this is just a first in this series where we're getting to know the enemy. I know using that very, very loosely, getting to know the opposition, getting to know what makes them tick. We've talked about their main players, their key players that we have to look out for, that Nigerian Super Eagles have to look out for, that Eric Chill indeed have to look out for. And, like I said, Nigeria's style of play for me is wing play. You have to match them up. This is a game you cannot afford to play the likes of Ademola Lookman in the heart of midfield, or play them out of position, or play Olaina out of position. You have to play them in their proper position. Now, I want to give a shout out to someone. I've forgotten the name of the person that put that comment in, because I was talking about who could be the other right back. Because for left back we've got to sort it out with Felix Agu and Bruno Yemachi, but for the right back spot, though of course I mean we've got Olaina top class, and then we'll have Bright Osai Samuel who comes in as his sort of replacement or for squad depth. But when you look at Bright Osai Samuel, in my opinion, I don't think he's someone that raises the level that much higher So and it's not much of a competition for online, and the person suggested Michael Coyote. Michael Coyote plays for Brentford. He's strong, powerful, quick as well, and I think that's what Nigeria needs going into this AFCON coming up, and especially where you don't want levels to drop, and you're going to be coming up against quick and very physical and very wily Tunisian side as well. So that is one that we have to be very mindful of. So having Michael Coyote in the team, if that can be done, please, NFF, if you can get that deal done, get it done. We've already missed out on one too many players, but if that deal can be done, I'll be super happy because I've seen the player, I've seen what he's about, and I think he just levels up that right hand side for Nigeria's defense because you have him on one side with Olayin and knowing that you have that option stood up, and then you have on the other side Felix Agu and Bruno Yemachi having that option stood up. So I think that's super, super important. And now for me, I want to look at how Nigeria can set up going up against this Tunisian side. Like I said, for me, you go with 4-3-3. You go with a formation where you're playing your wingers. So I'll put up the formation as usual and let's see how that will match up. Because I think man for man, player for player, Nigeria Super Eagles are better than Tunisian side, but you just have to get your tactics right. Keep it simple. Keep it simple because if you think Ademola Lookman struggled playing out of position against the likes of Rwanda, against the likes of South Africa, you can imagine how much more he will struggle against the Tunisian side. So I think that's something that we need to consider. Every jail needs to consider going into that game. So I'll just bring up this lineup. I think would work against Tunisia. Keep things simple. Come with a formation that people are used to, and the players are used to, anyways. That is natural for them. So for me, I will be going with a 4-3-3 still, and I'm going to 4-3-3 still. And we look at who you go with in this 4-3-3 formation. I will start with Lookman. Of course, Lookman for me should play down that left hand side. And then on the right, I'll go with Chukwueze. To the middle, of course, there's only one name that comes to mind right now. And this is if you're going with the 4-3-3, for me, that would be Victor Osimhen. I think he just matches up what you have to do there. And then going to left back spot, because against the Tunisians, you need to be very technical. You need your technical players to be on the pitch. So for me, I'll go with Felix Agu down the left. This is taking nothing away from Bruno Yemachi. Bruno Yemachi, for me, he is top class. When you talk about orthodox, old school left backs that do both jobs very well, defending and attacking, I think he ticks that box. And now, if you're going to play a high line, for me, it's Calvin Bassey. It's Calvin Bassey. So for this one, either Calvin Bassey or Igor Ogbu will go in here when you're coming up against this Tunisian side. And then as well, you have Benjamin. It's just a miracle. Will I say miracle? Oh, rather amazing how he has put himself in, everyone's mind, everyone's thoughts, as an undroppable player right now, Frederick. And then at right back, this is Ola enough for now, while we hope and we pray that the NFF are able to get Michael Coyote sorted out. And then in the midfield, Onyedika for sure, because he's top class. I don't know why Eric Gill isn't using him. I don't know why. When you're looking for someone who's robust, who's got pace, who's got a tank, and when you're coming up against this Tunisian side, that is what you have to be mindful of, because they will match you with pace, they will match you with power, they will match you with technique, and they'll bring all the dark arts they have in their arsenal, on the table. So and then you go with Chris Santos Uche. That's the next one in this three man setup. Go Chris Santos Uche playing that midfield. And then of course we'll then go with maybe Iwobi. Iwobi then could play in that 10 role behind the striker. Because right now, looking at it, maybe him or Fisai or Dele Bashiru, but in terms of creativity, I don't see who really ticks all the boxes there. So this is what I will go with coming up against the Tunisian side. I know it's still early days, but we need to look at all this. So I'll bring this up and then see someone in the chat. So Abubakar Suleiman says, Evangelist Ugo, well done with the good work you're doing. Please have a check on Miguel Aziz. He's a midfielder. I think the player will be a good prospect for Nigeria. Yeah, I'll have a good look at him. I think he used to be a former Arsenal player. So I'll have a look at him. I know he went to Rangers at some point. Yeah. Thanks for that shout, Abubakar. Thanks for that shout. So I'll share this and bring this up. So this is what I think the style should adopt going up against the Tunisian side, because they will be well drilled. They'll be properly drilled. And what you don't want to happen is you don't want to see players out of position struggling. Yeah, and what I've got with Felix Agua, I think is just this much more technical than Bruno Yemachi. So I'll go for him. And Olaina, he is way better than Bright Osai-Sambo for sure. Calvin Bassett, Benjamin Fredericks. You want to play with high line. You want to be aggressive. You want to press high up. You need your centre backs that got pace, that got energy in the tank to press. And then Rafael Onyedika, of course, Uche, Chris Santos. Still, because you have to press, you need people that are able to go both ways, that can score for you from midfield, that can also defend as well. So Onyedika and Uche, Chris Santos, those are the next two. That's why I'm going with them for this game. It will be right now, looking at the 10 options, we have none. So maybe you're given the opportunity to be there, and you have two really very, very good midfielders, behind him and giving him support. And then you have Chukwueze and Ademola Lookman on either side. For me, of course, Philip Otele, if he is indeed invited, because this Nigerian Football Federation, they can always fumble the bag, even when you think it's an absolute layup. So Philip Otele, he can be 1B while Ademola Lookman is 1A, because he's that good. But for now, Lookman should start if the game was to start today. And then Victor Osimhen, of course, no other person can compare right now, which is something we'll discuss in other videos, because Nigeria needs to start thinking about other options, because in a couple of years' time, this Victor Osimhen will not be the Victor Osimhen that we know. Now, Chukwueze as well, then down that right-hand side. So this is what I think you need to go with when you're coming up against the Tunisian side. Yeah. And then I'll stop sharing this. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the chat. I think it's good for us, like I said in the thumbnail, knowing the enemy and obviously using that very, very loosely. I think it's only fair to bring up some of the players, some of these Tunisian players that I've mentioned earlier on. So I'm sure we know them. But I think it's better to bring their faces, bring their images up on the screen so we actually see them. Now, for Hannibal used to be a Manchester United academy player. He used to be a Manchester United academy player. Apparently, he joined them from Monaco. But I think he is Tunisia's number 10, the creative force for them. So I'll bring this up in a minute. Yeah. So I'll share this now. Yes, so Hannibal Medbury. So he plays currently for Burnley. He's the creative force in that Tunisian team. So definitely he's one that the likes of Onyedika, Chrysanthus, if they play, have to keep an eye out for. And Eric Chill, I'm sure he's already doing his scouting, his opposition scouting on players that Nigeria will be coming up against. And Hannibal is one player that definitely Eric Chill should take notice of. Nigeria Super Eagles should take notice of going into this AFCON coming up, because right now, for me, I think the AFCON is win or bust. There's no option. There's no other option. There's no middle ground, in my humble opinion. So I wonder what you think about. I wonder what you think about that. But I just feel like this is a must-win tournament. No more bridesmaiding, in my opinion. And if Nigeria wants to go far, especially qualify quite comfortably from the group, Hannibal is a player that you have to be on lookout for, because he is the creative force in that team. Now, another player, Yasmin Mira. Yasmin Mira, uh, I think, Yasmin Mira, yes, he is a player. He plays for Esperance de Tunis, if I'm not mistaken. So he is a defensive stalwart for this Tunisian side, and therefore he is someone that we need to have a look at. That you have to watch closely. You have to do your scouting on. He is their leader. He is their leader. So he is someone we have to also be on the lookout for. So I'll bring this up here again. Let's see what's up in the chat. So I think the major problem, Abubakar says, I think the major problem we are facing, I'll bring his chat on here. Says, I think the major problem we are facing is lack of creativity up front. We need two good creative players like Okocha. Our problems will be solved. Our current midfielders are not creative enough. I agree with you. After talking about Yasni for a couple of minutes, I'll come back to talk to definitely have a discussion around this creative player, because it's an issue. We don't have the 10. Even Iwobi is a make do, because that lineup, if you notice, I only went for players that are already in the team, that already switched national team allegiance, or only have Nigeria allegiance. So that's what I've gone with. But Nigeria does need to get a 10, no doubt about it. If you want your strikers to play to their full potential, Victor Osimhen will always be a fighter, will always be a battler. He will score whichever way, through cross-ins with his head, put his head where two boots are flying, do anything to score. But his life will be a lot easier if he had a 10. Tularo Kodare can do anything to score, using his power, using his ability, hold up play, and all the kind of things as well. For those of you that love Cyril Dessas, if you want him to really, really shine, Nigeria needs to get a 10. He scored again for his club, Panathinaikos. He scored for them. If you want him to thrive in the Nigerian setup, Nigerian Super Eagles setup, you need to give him that 10. You need to have that creative force behind him. That's just how it has to work. So I'm sure we remember this guy from the Club World Cup. So he plays for Esperance de Tunis. He is plays for Esperance de Tunis. He is a top player. Have to be on the lookout for a centre back. So he marshals the defense. So I think it's just very good for us to have an idea of the team we're coming up against. And one thing I know, this, like I said, this is super early, but one problem that I think Nigeria has faced over the years is slow preparation, and on the logistics side of things from the NFF, getting the hotels booked, getting the and training centers booked and all that, getting flights and all that booked for the players. And then from the coaching side of things, when you see the way coaches set up, you ask yourself, do they really scout these teams that they play? So I'm sure Eric Chell must be doing his work, right? He must be doing his job. So Taiwo Okunade says we need energy and runners in our midfield. Our present midfield are too slow. Totally agree. You won't find any argument here with me because and that's why I call for the likes of Onyedika. I call for the likes of Chris Santos to be in that team, right? Because they've got the energy, they've got the tank to go both ways. And that's one of the things I have slightly against Iwobi. Iwobi will be willing to press. He always is. And coming up against a side like Tunisia, you must be willing to press. You must be willing, to be active, to be on it, to be on the front foot. And he will willingly do that. But the thing is, you can't cheat nature. He would always expire. That is the problem with Iwobi, and that's why I think you need to get more bodies in terms of numbers and in terms of quality in the midfield. And then Taiwo has also mentioned I'm looking at youngsters in our midfield at the moment. Tochukwu Nnadi. He's someone I've seen. He is dynamic, but he's not someone that can score for you. And that's fine. If you've got the likes of Christian Uche, you've got Rafael Onyedika, who, though they're not 10s, in my opinion, I know some people have said those are number 10s, but they're not 10s, but they can still score from a distance. Having someone that will just come in and do that dirty work for the team, I think that's also welcome. You need that as well. Tochukwu, Onuche, Ugbelu, Anthony Dennis, those are nice shouts as well. So talk back on that one. And then the next person we'll look at is the defender, is another defender, Elis Shekri, plays for Lorient in France. He plays for Lorient in France, so he is another one to look out for. And that's why I say this Tunisian side, you have to be very careful with them. You have to be very wily, very tactical, and also be on the front foot, be aggressive in the best way possible when you come up against the Tunisian side. Because when you look at who their best players are, central midfielders, or rather their most important players, central midfielders, you're looking at defenders, so that's why it is key that that's why it is key that's why it's key you set your team up rightly. So LC Shikri, he used to be at Frankfurt. I think now he's joined Lorient in France. So he is another important player for them, centre back, like I said. So just a moment while things load up. So probably he is on loan. So, but currently I think he is on the books of Lorient. So I'll bring his face up. So like I said, this video is getting to know the enemy, getting to know the opposition, the side that you're coming up against. So there we go. Elis Shikri. Hopefully I've not completely butchered that name. He is a centre back. So you can see how the whole team is built on defense. So Nigeria have just definitely would have to be on the front foot going into these games. So you've seen another centre back in Myra and you've seen another one in LC. So have to be on the front foot. Now, are they only just a defensive team? Now, while I'll admit, like I said, their major style is to be conservative, is to be tactically tough to break down, but they also have some attack-minded threats. They also have some threats in the attack. And we'll be looking at a couple of them, as right after I take this chart. So we've got Taiwo says in defense, Vincent Suji, Benjamin Frederick, Chubike Wayan, or Waiwu, Chubike Waiwu. So, okay, Vincent Suji, he is at the Bruges. He is a good shout, especially for me, because, like I said, there are different ways to play football, different ways to apply yourself. If we're looking to play high octane, high pressing football, then you have to look at those players that have the energy, that have got that recovery pace. Because the likes of Chus Ekong, while I think he is still very useful for the Nigerian Super Eagles, I know a lot of Nigerian fans are frustrated with him after his role in the Zimbabwe equalizer and his role, i.e., the own goal for South Africa to get their goal in that draw at the Bloemfontein Stadium. People are frustrated with him, but I still feel like he has a lot still to contribute. He can bring experience to the table. But want to play that high line like I want us to play going into the game in the AFCON group game versus Tunisia, you need to have players that have legs, that are pacey, quick, that can recover quickly if a ball is played in behind. And Benjamin Frederick, for one, yes, he can do that. Vincent Suji, yes, he can do that. Chubike Iwu, I think he is a very decent defender, but I doubt his pace a bit. So in terms of offensive threat of the Tunisian side, of course, we have to look at Elias Achauri. We have to look at Elias Achauri. He is one of their main attacking threats, in this in this Tunisian team. So he played for Copenhagen, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he played for Copenhagen. In the Danish league. So Elias Achauri. So basically, like I said today, know the enemy, know the rival, know the rivals that you're coming up, that you will be coming up against. So bring it up and I'll share this instead. Yeah, so you can see him here. So he is going to be one of their offensive outlets. So how they play is, like I said, defend deep, frustrate you, cede some possession on the ball to you, and then boom, hit you on the break. And one of the guys that will be in charge of leading that counter attack on the break, on the wings, is this guy, Elias Achauri. He is one that I'm sure Eric Chill is already doing his work, looking out for him, thinking of how to take care of his player. Now, see, since he's a left winger, I'm sure that means he will then be coming up against a Felix Agu. And this is why I say having Felix Agu for me will be a lot better than having Bruno Yemachi. While I respect Bruno Yemachi, while I see what he's capable of, I appreciate what he can do defensively, offensively. But when you're having in modern day football, when you're having a winger modern day football, when you have a right winger or a left winger that would then be going on. Sorry, 1 minute, please. Yeah, that would now be checking onto his right foot to take a shot or put in swinging crosses into the box. You need someone like a Felix Agu. Felix Agu, Yes, he's very left-footed, but he's almost as assured on his right foot as well. So I think that's why I feel like he is best placed to play that left back, because you have someone like a Achari trying to cut in on his right foot, and then you have um, Felix Agu who will be right there, being able to match him with his right foot. So sort of he'll cancel him out, because that's what usually you get as that's how you have wingers, because modern day wingers right now you have them playing on the opposite side of the pitch. On the opposite side of the pitch, yeah. So when you have that left winger coming on his right foot, if you have a typical fullback, they're usually in a tough spot because they have to now adjust their body shape, to deal with the threat of that winger. But in this case, I think Felix Agu has easy solution for Nigeria coming up against Elias Alchauri. And having said that, I have to say this. In these past two World Cup qualifying games that we've played, we've seen situations where, or rather, we saw the situation where Felix Agu didn't even play a second. He didn't even play a second in either game. Going into the remaining World Cup qualifying games, I hope that changes, and even more so going into the AFCON, I hope he gets to play. I hope you don't just have him stacked up on the bench and you don't play him. Someone said something very true as well. We went to this Unity Cup, the one Nigeria won. You were able to see, some interesting players, but he's not used them. Felix Agu was one that wowed Nigerians. Kusantos Uche wowed Nigerians, but for some reason, Eric Chale just decided that, what, I'm not really going to use you. I'm not really going to put that much faith and trust in you for me to just bonkers, in my opinion. So let's see what we have in the chat here. Taiwo says again, says, I'm not confident in either Bruno Yemachi and Felix Agu. I still prefer Zaidu Sanusi. No. Zaidu Sanusi for me, not a name that rings true for me. Except for whatever reason you want to have a third left back. For me, I don't see why you want to have a third left back. I think Felix Agu is very good. He's very good. He's very good for his club team. He's playing very well. When he had the cameo in the Unity Cup, he played very well. For whatever reason, Eric Chale isn't playing him. Fair play. I understand why you may want to go back to what because that's human nature, right? We're all used to Zaidu Sanusi, so we want to feel like we have to go back to him. But I just think that right now, I think that left back ship should have sailed, and that's one area where I think Nigeria has balance. And when I say Felix Agu should start, I'm not saying he should start because he's 100 times the player that Bruno Yemachi is. I'm just saying in terms of a matchup coming up against a tricky, wily, right-footed winger, right-footed left winger. If you have a fullback, if you have a left back that is very good, with his weaker right foot, then it makes all the sense in the world, to go with that player. And then, so if you're joining the stream, we have been talking about the Tunisian national team that Nigeria will be playing in the AFCON. And like I said, this is the first in the series where we'll be looking at the various teams in the group. Apart from Tunisia, you have Uganda and you got Tanzania as well. So these two teams, while we're looking at Tunisia, it's like obviously Tunisia, that is South Africa of this group, right? Because when the World Cup qualifier group came up, South Africa, we saw South Africa as this is the team you've got to win. This is the team that you've got to beat. Once you beat this team, you've qualified, right, for the World Cup, because it sort of overlooked the other teams, unfortunately. So I think Tunisia, they are the toughest side in terms of quality. The other teams will be tough as well. But I think if Nigeria wants to top this group, Tunisia, they're a team that we should be looking to beat. Man for man, Nigeria is better. But it is the technical side of the game. It is the tactical side of the game. It is the mindset of the game. When you're coming up against Tunisia, what do you expect? I've talked about their conservative nature. I've talked about counterattacks. But there's also the psychological part of the game as well. Because when you play Tunisia, you're not just playing normal football, pass, dribble, score. No, you're also playing the dark arts of the game as well, because you know they're going to roll on the ground. You know the slightest contact they're going to go down. And unfortunately, we know that the officiating in, fair play to CAF, but the officiating in AFCON, in African World Cup qualifying, in AFCON qualifiers, is not all too. I'll say it's good, because I think I'll take that back. It's very good, but then again, you don't want to fall victim to any sort of wily tricks that the Tunisians may pull up, and they will pull up one of those tricks, and you don't want to get a player sent off, because they know how to exploit you tactically. If the Nigerian Super Eagles get any player sent off, that game automatically becomes a long day for the Nigerian Super Eagles. So, Nigerian Super Eagles going into this game, having to know the Tunisian side, you know how they play for one, the defensive style, conservative style, counter-attack, but also this psychological aspect of the game as well. It is important for, Nigeria to, take that into consideration when coming up against these teams. Because we've seen it time and time again. You play Tunisia, you think you're having the upper hand, and then something happens, and then you see you're sent off. You have a man sent off, and definitely you don't want to be playing against this side a man down. Now, there are lots of players on here, but there's one we'll just look at, and then we will move on to talk about other things. So I think that should be Isa Light Downey. Downey plays for Union Berlin. No, Al Wakra. He plays for Al Wakra in the Qatari League. So like I said, man for man, quality for quality, Nigeria is better, right? But the thing there is, you have to know with this Tunisian team is they are a team. They are a team. I know that sounds counterintuitive when, or it even sounds redundant to some extent when you're talking about a sport, when you're talking about a team sport. But they are a team, and that's one question. That's one issue I have with the Nigerian side. Are we yet a team where you have everyone understanding each other? Understanding the runs their teammates making. Understanding how to support the team. They are a team, so that's something we have to, So Isa Andani. So I'll just a minute. Just come here. And I would share my screen so you can see it. I'll just share it anyways the way it is. So, one moment, just so we put some faces to the names that I've been mentioning. And one thing that's important to note is we've been talking about important players for the team, for their team. And we have been talking about defense-minded players. That's to tell you how they, are set up, how they would like to set up. So you can see me motion Isa Aundani, Isa Lie Downey. So he is a guy here. He is a defender. He plays in Qatar. Now, I've said it, in terms of quality, Nigeria is better side. But in terms of being a team, they are right now a very strong unit. And Nigeria needs to get to that point where, actually a strong unit together. So you can bring the quality and match with quality. And you can bring the quality and match with unity. And definitely you can then look at beating or defeating the likes of Tunisia. So yeah. So that's what we talked about on this video. We talked about the Tunisian side, what they bring to the table, the history they have with Nigeria. Of course, that 1994 Nations Cup that a lot of us witnessed, was hosted by Tunisia. So happy memories in that regard. Of course, you had games where Nigeria lost to Tunisia in semi-finals in round of 16. When I thought that year was Nigeria were blistering in the group stage, but fell out, at the knockout round to Tunisia. So we have that history with them, a team that would be comfortable in the fact that they can cede possession to Nigeria and hoping Nigeria makes mistakes while trying to attack. And that's why you cannot afford, from an Eric Jill perspective, from a coaching perspective, to play anybody out of position. you know. So I'll just go through the chats once again for those of us that missed it, and then I will respond to some of them. So this we've seen this before. Abubakar said, I think major problem we are facing is lack of creativity up front. We need to get two creative players like Okocha. Our problems will be solved. Our current midfielders are not creative enough. And that's where that's one thing I wanted to address. Yes, in the formation I put up Iwobi because he's kind of the only person we have, kind of. But we should be looking to get a creative turn in. If there's someone the grassroots level, let's know. But right now, Ethan Wannery, I think, is there. He's prime. He's someone that if the NFL put their effort, real, genuine effort, not lip service, not just having it on newspapers or media outlets you've paid, you have in your pocket, right? But really go out there and do your utmost to get him in the team. Rio is another option. People will say he is young, but he is different. He is dynamic. This is the age of the young player. When I mean young player, I mean extremely young player. Because 21 is young, So because look at Mexico, they've got Melo, they've got their own Rodrigo as well. Look at Spain, they've got Lamine Yamal. Look at England, Max Dowman. I'm not quite sure if he'll make the World Cup squad, but who knows, he could. So you need to get players in that can be creative. Ethan Wannery for me is the main one. He is the main one that if you're looking to get a nationality switch, because that's a position we're sorely lacking in. And I don't think it will serve anyone well to turn our noses up at a player and say, no, if he wants to play, he should come and beg us. No, because that's an area where you sorely lack players. Wingers, we always have wingers. Strikers, we always producing strikers. You have Victor Orakpo, you have Hafiz Zuma, you have Areli Parabo, you have all these exciting youngsters coming through the ranks. Midfielders will always have a lot of them. But when it comes to that 10 and that deep line playmaker, those two spots, it's usually very difficult for Nigeria for whatever reason to produce players in those places. And that's why I said for me that Ebenezer Akinsimiro is one player that the NFL should just look beyond the club he plays for. He plays in the Serie A for new promoted side Pisa. But the way he plays is the kind of player that we need in the Nigerian Super Eagles. So let me know your thoughts and opinions on that one. And then this is a comment that I've been on here before. I bring it up again, and I'll address it for those who just joined. They said we need energy and runners in our midfield. Our present midfielders are too slow. Yes, when you play with Wilfred Ndidi, he has experience, but one thing that comes alongside the experience is age. And what comes alongside age is exhaustion, is you get more tired than you normally used to. So that's why Onyedika and Chrysanthus, I don't get the whole thing of you have them in your team and they're on the bench. I don't understand. Someone said something that was funny to me. I don't want to say crazy, but it was really funny. I just hope Eric Chill doesn't have that mindset. Someone told me that Al-Hassan Yusuf is the most complete midfielder in Nigeria, and I almost fell off my seat when I was looking at my phone and texting back and forth with the person. I said, wow, Al-Hassan Yusuf, you have two top-notch midfielders. Use them. You can't keep using Dele Bashiru and he will be out of position. Use these two box-to-box engines that you have. Charles Uba, I think, is one for the future. He's a player I really like, but he's still very raw. He brings something special to the team. He will bring something special to the team because his aggression, his pace in winning the ball, and in leading counter attack because he's got pace like a winger. He's got that sort of electrifying pace. To have that through the middle will be something sensational to watch. But he is still very, very raw. That is just where maybe you want to tamper expectations with. Maybe if you want to have one additional body after you have Onyedika, Chris Santos, maybe if you're able to get Ethan Wannery to join, Ebenezer Kinsimiri, you then drop him there. So I think that's about the midfield. You need to up the energy, and right now the players you have, and with Iwobi is, he will try, he will put his effort in, he would want to go all out, but he will expire energy-wise. That's just the truth about Iwobi. And then, so I've looked at this before. Yeah, younger players, Onuche Gbelu, Tochukwu Nadi. Yeah, we looked at this name, Anthony Dennis as well. Yeah, I've looked at them. So in defense, Vince Osuji. Yeah, Vince Osuji for me, he's someone that you want to play high line, you want to press up, high up, he should be in that team. And Buhari as well. Buhari is another one. Don't worry, it's not the ex-president of Nigeria. Buhari, he is a centre back as well. If you want to be aggressive, high line, high pressing, then you should go with those ones. And I don't know what you think about Taiwo talking about Zaidu Sanusi. I don't know what you think about it. For me, it's a no-no. It's a no-no, except for whatever reason, they say, oh, we want an additional left back, a third left back. Then maybe you do that. But other than that, no, that's not what I will be opting for, in my humble opinion, and I hope every chair doesn't opt for that. So let me know what you think. If you want to join the call, the link is there. I'll be going on a short break, and I'll come back and wrap up the show, and then we'll call it a day. But for now, we'll just take a brief, quick break, and then I'll be back to wrap up the show. Don't go anywhere.
My people where they listen to me, my online family make una yeah. I dey drop new video every week from morning to evening, I know the fear. I spend my time and my data to make sure say una dey entertained. But I check my analytics, it dey make me vex. Viewers dey plenty, but subscribers dey faint. Subscribe no be only giveaway, make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Subscribe no be only giveaway, make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Some of una they watch from morning till night. You dey comment, you dey like, but you no click. You dey wait for when I go do promo, when I go announce the next phone or a ticket. Not true, I like to give back to una. Now why I dey do giveaway from time to time. But if una no subscribe, I go get more. Now your subscription be the reason why I decline. Subscribe no be only giveaway, make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Subscribe no be only giveaway, make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Imagine say you dey build your house and your neighbors they come use your water free. Then they take water, then they wash car, but when you ask them to help you with the house, then they flee. That's how it be, my people, no be lie. If una no subscribe, my channel go die. I need your support to reach for the sky. So please, my people, just give it a try. Subscribe no be only giveaway, make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Subscribe, no be only giveaway. Make una support your boy, make it grow. If you like my content, make you show. Give me that red button, make it glow. Yeah, hit that button now.
Yeah, so I'm back now. Just to wrap up the show, thanks so much for being here all through the start of the show till now. And how are you enjoying the jam that was played at the background? If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. But just quickly, so Victor Osimhen is looking like he will be fit. At least he will be part of Galatasaray's next game, according to some reports that we're hearing say Victor Osimhen returns to Galatasaray after 2 weeks layoff. I think that's very good news for Nigeria, especially having this super extra duper super important World Cup qualifying fixtures coming up. Of course, we've all heard the news about the communication between FIFA and the South African Football Association. But South Africa, they're sounding tough. They say they're not thinking about it. What they're thinking about is getting 6 points in their remaining two World Cup qualifying games. And fair play, if they do win those games, I think they'll be shoe in, or there'll be a strong bet to qualify for the World Cup. But I think that point should have been deducted a long time ago. And why the points haven't actually been deducted, that's something that we should even know, right? The communication has been made to South Africa, but those points haven't actually yet been deducted. So I don't know the sort of game they are playing. But going back to talking about Victor Osimhen, I think we've talked about Tunisia in this video, looking at how they will set up and how Nigeria can counteract, how they will set up going into that AFCON game, African Cup of Nations game, a Group C game. We definitely know one of the keys to that to Nigeria defeating Tunisia would be a fit and available Victor James Osimhen. So, what are your opinions on him coming back? And I know there have been some Nigerians. Yes, there have been some Nigerians who have been dancing to the tune of Asamoah Gyan, because Asamoah Gyan came up with some crazy statement. I don't know if you all saw it, right? He came up to say Victor Osimhen was faking injuries. Now, whatever you want to say about Victor Osimhen, injury is not something he would fake. When he's on the pitch, he gives his 110%. Whatever you want to say about what he does after the pitch, I don't think he doesn't do anything crazy, in my opinion. But people have different opinions. But he always gives his all playing for Nigeria. So why would he fake an injury? So he'll be back, and that's good news for Galatasaray, and definitely good news for Nigeria. And the other thing I wanted to touch on is Ademola Lookman has been, or at least they're trying to reintegrate him back into the Atalanta setup. For me, that is good in one regard, that at least he gets to play. His future at the moment is sorted out. So until January, then we'll now know if indeed he will be moving. But either way, my advice to Ademola Lookman would be, if indeed he watches the show, if indeed he listens to me, I'm sure he has his advisors anyway, but would be, do not renew any contract, right? Do not renew any contract. That is if you want to leave. I remember saying the same thing when Victor Osimhen had some issues with Napoli. I said, don't renew your contract. Just stay. If you need the contract, I'm sure, you can't blame him too much, because as a player, football is the way you earn your living, and you want to be 100% sure of where you'll be getting your daily bread in the next couple of months or weeks or whatever. But what happens with those things is, when they renew contracts, even if they give you a massive wage upgrade, they usually add all these crazy clauses, not just a buyout clause of maybe 50, 60, 100 million pounds or 100 million euros alone, but how that 100 million euros will be triggered. They could be demanding for 70%, 75% of the release clause up front, and many clubs will balk at that sort of ask. So, but anyways, happy that he has been, at least for now, being reintegrated into the setup. So, thank you so much for being super special. For those who've dropped their comments in the comment section, those who hit the subscribe button, thank you so much. We are just a few subscribers away from 2,000 subscribers. Wow, we're getting close to 2,000 subscribers. So so at this point, 1,039 subscribers on the channel. So you give us that little push. Let's hit 2,000. We keep on going. The dream, the ambition is to get to 1 million subscribers. So let's keep going. So thank you so much for your support. And tomorrow we'll come up again with another video on here where we'll be talking about the Flying Eagles, because the Under-20 World Cup is even closer than the AFCON. The first game Nigeria will play will be on the 29th of this month. So we'll talking to you about the team that Nigeria will be facing, how they like to set up, what the Flying Eagles would do or can do to sort of outwit their opponents and get the needed 3 points, needed victory in that opening game. Because in that sort of game, you want to make sure that you get the 3 points in the first game, because that sets things up for the rest of the tournament, because you get to avoid certain teams, at the early stage, and you don't get to struggle and sweat so much with respect to qualifying. So we'll be having that one on here. And just to tell you that this is a super special striker, and talk about him a lot, Eric Barabo. I just had this little shot on the channel about him. You can go check out that video as well. Eric Barabo, a special wonder kid, one for the future. I wouldn't say style for style, he matches up with Victor Osimhen, but the way he plays, I saw Victor Osimhen when he played under 17. He looks unique and a cut above the rest. And I think Eric Barabo is similar. He looks unique and different from every striker that we have right now. It's just hopefully that Zabiru, actually sets this team up properly. Now, certain names were dropped off the under-20 list. That just made me shake my head. Jonathan Suzu, what was the reason? I can't quite still phantom, but he was dropped from that list. So let's see how things are going to move. And then there will be more videos coming up about young players. Nyubucho Basi, I'll be doing the video reviewing him. Promise Melika as well, I'll be doing the video reviewing them. And then Grassroots Reacts will be coming up back on this channel. So keep your eyes peeled on the channel. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you're not, click the notification bell. Please do it so you're notified when this video goes on live or a preview of the video is posted. Please smash that like button. It does help really push this channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on this another video. So stay well and definitely stay blessed. Bye bye.